Today we're going to look at the Level 2 Adult Care Diploma, and we're going to look at the Communication in Care Settings topic. The first thing we want to look at is understanding why communication is important in the work setting. So, first of all, communication is going to be threaded through everything you're doing in the work setting. If you think about your day for the moment, every day you're communicating with service users, colleagues, management, family members, friends, other professionals like nurses, GPs, occupational therapists, physiotherapists. Every day you're going to be communicating with somebody. So we're going to talk about why we communicate to begin with. So why do people communicate? There are many reasons why people communicate. Some of them are here for you. So we have to express needs or to inform others of our wishes and preferences. This is a very big part of our lives daily, and it's especially important for, let's say, service users. If you're a service user, you might be reliant on people to help you with certain things. You will need to be able to express when you're hungry, thirsty, tired, anything like that, and you will need to be understood. So you and your service users will need to have an effective means of communication to get those across, as well with wishes and preferences. With wishes and preferences, they're not needs, they're not your basic survival needs, but it is important to respect people's wishes and preferences, and if we can do something for them, that we try and make it happen. Other reasons might be to socialize. Everybody needs to socialize. Socializing is so important for our mental health. It's fairly well known at this stage that isolation tends to be bad for people. Now, not for everybody. Some people prefer to be alone, or you have the difference between extroverts and introverts. Too much social time for introverts can be a bad thing, whereas extroverts really don't do very well on their own for a long time. So it's going to be different for everyone, but everybody more or less needs to socialize to some degree. Another reason we might communicate is to learn or to teach. So at the moment, you're trying to improve your knowledge. You need an effective means of communication. For some people, they prefer to read and research. Other people prefer to learn by doing. And some people like this kind of learning. Another one is to express opinions or to make judgments. Every day we're doing this at some stage. We love to express opinions and to say whether we like things or not, or what we do better about them. This is part of it. It's important to people. And the last one I've included there is to comfort others. Now, I thought this was important because at some point in everyone's lives, they will probably need comforting. Now, this could be done verbally by reassuring people, or it can simply be your presence, that it's making it known that you are interested and you care by being there. That can be a comfort in itself. So those are some reasons people might communicate. I'm sure you can think of your own. I would recommend when you're writing any answers on this that you think of a few of your own as well. Okay. Another question that could come up for you is, how can effective communication affect all aspects of your own work? Now, as I said before, effective communication is threaded through your whole day, and it will affect all aspects. As the question says, it will affect absolutely all aspects of your work. Some areas where it will definitely affect is, the first one I've put down is partnership working. If you haven't heard of partnership working before, it's a very similar term to maybe team working. It basically means working together, and it refers to, let's say, yourself working with your colleagues, working with management, working with other professionals like the speech and language therapists, like the GP. And one that people seem to forget a lot is that it includes working with the service users themselves and their families, but it includes working with the service users themselves. If you're not working in partnership with your service users, then you will run into issues eventually. Things will not be as effective as they could be. Things could be missed. Maybe the service is not being provided that meets exactly their needs. Maybe that service user will get frustrated because they're not being included in decisions. So effective communication definitely will affect partnership working. I put down the passing on of messages or information or communicating changes from management to staff. If that's not being communicated effectively, I've also put down morale. If changes and policies aren't being communicated effectively, it's going to affect the quality of service that's provided. It's also going to affect morale in the team, that people are getting frustrated that they don't know what's going on. With let's say you've taken down a phone message, that kind of message. If you've taken it down, you've written it down in a note, and your writing might not be that tidy, basically no one but you can read it, then that's not going to be effective, and something important could be missed. It could impact on the service or the service users, and we don't want that. Other areas that I've thought of is scheduling. Let's say you do home care support. You go out and visit people in their own homes. In these situations, scheduling needs to be done very effectively and needs to be communicated very clearly. Otherwise, you might not know that you're expected at Joe Blogg's house at 9 a.m., but Joe Blogs could be expecting you and might need help in the morning. If scheduling and communication around scheduling isn't really clear, then that will definitely affect the service user, and it will affect, again, morale, because no one is going to be happy about that. Another one I've thought of is organizing tasks. Let's say you're working in pairs. You're working in pairs with another person, and you have a lifting task to do, let's say using a hoist. You need to discuss what you're going to do. You both need to be very clear on who's doing what job at what time. So you're not working at cross purposes, you're not getting in each other's way, and you are reducing the risk of hurting yourself, hurting your colleague, and hurting that service user by being very clear in these situations. You don't want any confusion there at all. Okay, so those are some of the reasons people communicate, and how effective communication can affect all aspects of your own work. Another one is, why is it important to observe individuals' reactions when communicating with them? Think about any time you have been communicating with anyone, just let's say sitting down with your friend. While you're communicating, you're often watching them, you're watching their eyes, you're watching their face, you're watching body language, and you're listening to the tone of their replies. You're also listening to the content of their replies, what they're actually saying back to you and what information they're giving you, but you're listening to tone and observing body language as well. This helps you to see a number of things that content alone does, the content of the speech alone would not give you. Some examples might be how interested the person is. If you're being a bit boring and they want to move on, tone and body language and facial expressions will probably be a good clue. Paying attention to somebody's reactions as well also shows that you're interested. And that's important to people. It helps them to feel valued. It helps them to feel like they should engage in this conversation that you're having. And it builds up relationships. If neither of you in this conversation are paying attention to the other person's reactions, you're both going to give up on it at some point, and it's not going to work out. Other reasons might be to observe if somebody is confused, if somebody has maybe a blank look on their face, maybe they're frowning, maybe you're expecting a reply and they're very slow to give it, or they're not replying at all. You might want to ask yourself, could they be a bit confused? Should you check? Should you explain in a different way? To make sure that the information that you're trying to give is being understood. Other reasons might be to see if somebody's getting frustrated. If somebody is maybe pacing, clenching their fists, maybe you'll see the different sort of frown. Then in those cases, somebody might be getting frustrated. It might be time to move on from whatever you've been doing and do something else. It might be time to ask them what's wrong and address it directly, because you don't want people to feel frustrated, because that could lead to aggression. Aggression will have negative consequences for you, for your colleagues, and for the service users themselves if they're the ones getting aggressive. They'll often feel bad about it, as well as the possibility of them getting hurt, you getting hurt, service being impacted. It's best to head that off at the pass if you can. If you can spot signs early, that's going to be better for everyone. So those, again, a few reasons why it's important to observe an individual's reactions. I'm sure you can think of a few yourselves. This is not meant to be an exhaustive list. These are just going to be ideas to help you to complete your projects, your assignments. Okay, so come to the end of understanding why communication is important in the work settings. I hope this has been some help to you, and thank you.